Uh, uh, uh,
So Rebecca's recording the meeting. We're presently waiting for Kate to join us.
oh, she's
I'm here.
ah,
Oh, there you
Oh, you're
are.
there. All right, there you go.
hey.
Yep, sorry about that. Graduation's tomorrow, and there was a million things happening. And if you told me my name was Martha and that I live in Harwich, I believe you instead of Kate in Wellfleet.
Oh, that's
So,
funny. Yeah,
but here I am.
good.
I'll keep driving home.
Which
And,
graduation, Kate?
Yeah, congratulations
Awesome.
on graduating finally. Yep. All right.
Yeah, and I was in a bad shape last time. I appreciate everyone, um, working with me. Uh, I was in the same scenario. I got double booked somehow, and then I had to host the call, and then I discovered that I couldn't duck out because I was recording the call and until the last minute. So I'm sorry about having to get off the phone quickly. So um, I guess a couple things. One is I kind of ran the meeting last time,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I know that Jim, you had uh, agreed to be the secretary, if you will.
That's right.
So you'll be taking the minutes
I will.
from this meeting, okay, and publish, okay?
Yes.
And what I'm trying to find is the minutes from the last meeting. Um, was that April 15th? Was it that long ago? Yeah, I think so.
I think
I'm,
so.
I'm,
And then we had
I'm
scheduling
looking.
issues, and we ended up at this date.
Okay, so oh, there you are, Kate. You're driving.
Yeah,
Where are you driving to?
I'm driving from Harwich to Wellfleet. I'm in
All
Eastham
right, there
right
you go.
now.
Be
Yep,
careful now.
Yeah.
I am. I am. I'm not.
Okay.
Are we thinking, or did we?
Yeah, did everyone get the minutes from the meeting that I
Yeah.
sent out last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so we covered the hatches, access. Fred will have some updates for that. We talked about the improvement grant, and I sent a couple links um, from Rebecca on what was published on the websites. We discussed the need to send the notice to other department heads and to brief the select board on what was posted. Um, and we noted that the committee passed a motion to request to be on the select board agenda in May. That's been pushed out because of the Jim's good recommendation to wait for the new select board to be in place so that we don't have to cover things again. We discussed developing a PowerPoint presentation to the board. And Kate, you had a presentation I wrote from
Yeah.
Nauset, but I don't
So
remember receiving that.
you did not. It was actually from Harwich. I apologize. I have to dig that up and get that to you. I will
Okay.
take care of that.
Okay, so we can cover that here in a second. I'm just going to go through because you're driving. The Moby Mets, we talked about that. I suggested that I would put together a presentation to brief the select board. I've done that, sent that around. And then the new business was that Jim agreed to be secretary for the next 10 years. For the next fiscal year, or for the end of the fiscal year. And then we set up the meeting for the 5th, and we now had to push it to the 3rd of June, just because of the new select board. So, does anyone have any comments on that, or can get a motion to approve those minutes?
I would move to approve the minutes.
I'd second it.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's good. So, the other thing that sent around was the agenda for today, and what I did put in there as an agenda, I think someone suggested is like, well, it'd be a very short agenda, kind of to catch up with a few things, and I guess my question is whether we want to add additional things to that agenda. So let me kind of go back to this. Let me get my agenda here. Sorry, going back and forth. I know that Fred, you had a comment on your. You had a comment on the reaching some folks having to do with the one problem that down in the center there. I know we can probably talk about that a little bit. But what I had here as the agenda for today was to talk about the 2 draft presentations to be made to the select board on the subjects of the municipal ADA improvement assessment grant, and then the approved ADA access to the town beaches, and that was the one that had to do with the Moby mats. Also to set up the meeting with the select board. So that's the agenda item. So why don't we just stick with that for the moment, and see where we are, and then we can go to the new business from last week. Okay, so let's talk about that. So I think we had said that we would pull together some presentations, and one of them was, we just mentioned, Kate was going to dig up the one that she had for, was it Harwich again? Sorry,
it was Harwich. Yeah, it's a number
Harwich.
of years old. Sorry. Yeah, it's from
Okay.
Harwich. It's a number of years old. I found it on their website. I'm sure when I'm home I can dig it out. Maybe
Okay.
not in a timely manner for this meeting, but certainly I can get it to everybody to see. It's just the way that they structured their information to share with their select board. And we certainly would want to tweak it to our needs and our community. But it's just a nice framework versus starting the wheel from scratch.
Excellent. I think that'll work well. So I think what we want to do is get that to all of us, and then maybe what we can do is suggest some changes to some data. I think Jim probably is the most knowledgeable about it. You had done the research, Jim, right?
Yes, I've done some. Yes.
Some.
Yeah.
So maybe what we can do is, I think, let's talk about what we want to accomplish from presenting that document. So we got the presentation. What's the purpose? What do we want to get out? What do we want to get from the select board? Just knowledge that the grants are available? Are we wanting to get some action on their part through Rebecca's office to start the process of sketching out an application? What's the and what do we want to do?
I'm happy to speak for a second on that. I think it's twofold. I think it's our first opportunity as a commission that now has a quorum to educate the selectmen, some of which will most likely be new, what exactly a commission on disabilities does, what its mission is, and some of the things that we might want to tackle. Everything from ease of access to meetings like even our own meeting, it should probably be closed captioned, and some other things that we might be able to do that just because we're so new, we haven't addressed yet. And then absolutely educate them about the grant and the steps that need to happen. And anyway, those are my thoughts.
Fred, Jim, what do you think? Other comments?
Well, yeah, yes, I'd agree. I think also that, there is a requirement under the ADA and Massachusetts general law for municipalities to do a self-evaluation.
Right.
And it can be very costly to do unless you have grant assistance. So that's the reason we're suggesting or highly recommending that we apply for a grant within, within the next grant cycle, so that the town doesn't have to assume all of the costs for that. The cost can be up to $32,000 to do self-evaluation that's then followed by a transition plan. So getting that kind of aid is really enabling. But the point also is that it's something that has to be done and has not been done.
Fred, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I'm not sure I have anything to add to that.
Okay, so with a two-part presentation, as I hear it. One is to basically give them a overview of what our mission is and who we are when we're meeting, and sort of some thoughts that are on our mind. Kate
Yep.
brought those up. Maybe there's some bullets of things like, here's some things that are on our mind, and then maybe one of those things that are on our mind, those bullets, could be this grant, because Jim, isn't it that we have to get the grant application in by August?
Well, no, that's when the cycle opens. So I think it's August through October.
Okay,
Okay.
so I mean, I think
So
we need to get
we're timely for it.
timely. I think so. What I would add to that is the Commission on Disabilities mission and sort of our focus and wants, maybe as advisory board. And then we've got the grant as one of those wants. We have to give part of that some information to them on what that grant's all about. And then I think it would be too much to say we'd like to get their approval to go after the grant, or do we have to wait for another meeting to, this is a briefing, and then the next meeting they vote on whether or not to go after the grant. I mean, with the way the town is right now, with all the budgets and overrides and everything else, I mean, this is really some free money, to actually get some huge amount of benefit for the town. So is it too much
Right.
to have those three things? It's the commission, mission overview, etc., information on the grant, and then what we would like for them to do is approve moving forward with the grant.
Yeah, I mean, we're advisory, so they would be empowering the ADA coordinator, Rebecca, to go forward with a plan, the grant, and we'd be providing helpful assistance to her.
Okay. What do you think? Is that going to be too much, Fred, Kate, to do in our first meeting with them, or what?
No, I don't think so, because we need to submit any materials that we would like them to review in advance, and we certainly can do that. And we could give them a copy of the grant application, and we can even give them one that has some highlights, a second with highlights on it, things that require their consideration for them to give approval or not, which I would be surprised if they said no, because it is free money. And we are supposed to do this, and we haven't done it yet, or our town has not done it.
Right.
Right, and we have information about other towns that have done it, so it's like, we're joining the fold
Right.
of that. So there might be a little bit of research about who on the Cape has done that. There's always it's always good for, I think, select board members to say, oh, now I'm going to join in with other people. So it's not like
Right.
they're starting anew. Okay, so how do we bring this together then? How do we get this done? We've got that one presentation, Kate, that you were speaking about.
Yeah.
And then seems like we need to have some other information there. Is there something existing, by the way, on the Commission on Disabilities? Is there
Oh, yeah, there's
information that we can pull together on that?
And Jim can certainly probably speak to it more in depth than me. It's been a couple of weeks since I looked, but if you go on the website regarding the grant, there's all the steps, all the forms, directions. It's once you're looking at it, it's pretty self-explanatory. So maybe that's a piece of homework for all of us to get, is to calibrate our understanding of what needs to be finished. And then we can have a conversation about that. We can look at what other, I think there's a list of towns too, isn't, or municipalities.
Yeah.
Isn't there, Jim, who successfully completed the process?
That's right.
So we can
That's
look at that.
Yeah, and all that information is pretty publicly available about how much money they
Yeah.
got, right?
Yep, it is. It is.
Um,
I'm in my meeting that I forgot about.
So let me just back up
Yeah.
a bit and say, when do we need to meet with the select board to make this happen?
Is Rebecca on this call at all?
Rebecca?
I'm
Rebecca,
here.
you there?
I'm just doing about 100 different things.
Well, yeah, no worries. So you're going to be front and center, I think, on this one.
That's okay.
because
You just tell
I
me what
think-
you need me to do and I'm more than happy to do it.
Because I think one of the things Jim was noting is that, you have to have the town has to have an assigned ADA coordinator. You're the ADA coordinator. You be the project manager, I would think. I don't know.
Okay.
For something like this. And this is a way to support capital improvements that are needed to improve access and also remove barriers.
Mhm.
So, we have a number of those, very few sidewalks, and
Right.
we're a beach town, so it's really harder. But there are coming out of this are things like ramps, elevators, signage, communication access devices, curb cuts. And so we have to show benefits. So, I think there's a planning grant and there's a project grant. So the planning grant is just saying we need to have that designation of a responsible employee, you, the notice of the non-discrimination and proof of posting, we've got that done.
Yep.
And an ADA grievance procedure, which is done. So we've got all that covered up. We're ready to go with that. And now it's just basically pulling together the elements of the grant. Does the town have, or do you have experience pulling together a grant application?
It's
Are
funny that
familiar
you
with
asked.
that?
I don't right now, but actually the assistant town administrator, she is very well experienced in grants. So if she and I
Okay.
can work together as a team, because she does a lot of grants. So I don't mind
Okay.
taking the front with that. I would just work with her so that the grant was filled out properly and appropriately so that it could be submitted thoroughly.
Okay. That's good. That's good to have some resource. I mean, I don't know if it's that difficult of a process. I think we just need to make, you know, we'll
Is
have
it
to
a
look at
grant
what the
through the
elements are.
state? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes,
so they must have the application online on their, like, on their website, yes?
They do.
It is.
Okay.
they do. Yes.
Will you
there's-
send, can one of you send me to my email, like, where that application process is so I can start looking at it? And I mean, I would
Okay.
have to go in front of the select board, and I just put their agenda together for this. So June 28th, I could go before them and ask if I could fill out the form, because you have to get permission from the select board to do any sort of grant on behalf of the town. But I can do
Right.
that. And they usually, I mean, they're not going to say no. It's money that the town will get to help with anything. So it's just kind of
Okay.
a process of formality.
Mhm.
So I can go ahead in front of them on June 28th and ask them for permission to go ahead and start applying for this
Okay.
grant on behalf of the Disability Commission, and then go from there and work with Rebecca Ruffley, and the two of us can work together filling out that grant application and submit it to the
Okay.
state. Do you know, when is it due, did you say?
Says early August of 2022, and I just sent you that
Yeah.
application.
Perfect. Okay, so that's great. So I would rather get that in sooner to the state than later. So I can work on that with Rebecca in the next, probably town meeting is June 11th. So I have a lot to do for town meeting. But once town meeting is over, I can start working on that application with her, if that works for you guys.
Yes, it works for me. Not to
Sure.
speak
That's
for
good.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And,
fine.
yeah. It says here. Okay. So, it said the cycle they think is gonna start in early August. That's what Jim told us, and it's on the
Okay.
website too, so, that'll at least give a start. So the plan then would be for you to put this in front of the select board on June 28th. Is that what I heard?
I will get it onto them for June 28th, just so that I get permission to start working on it. As soon as they give me that permission, I imagine it'll probably take me a week or so to fill it out and make sure it's thorough, and run it by Rebecca Ruffley to make sure that I didn't miss any of the details. And then I would like
Okay.
to get it submitted to them, probably by the third week in July.
Okay, so what I sent to you was the form for last year.
Okay,
So so I sent you the fiscal year 22 application. I don't know if the fiscal year 23 application is the same.
okay,
It
I'll
says
find out.
the application submission was closed, but I think it's gonna be probably very similar. They normally are pretty similar the next year, but the 23 fiscal year 23 hasn't opened up yet. So you'll be ahead of the game if you were to look at what they asked for last year and get going on that.
Okay,
That would be good. So that's one thing, 28th. Then the second is we're going to send around. Do you feel like you would need to have some ammunition, if you will, for your meeting with them as to what this is all about?
you know what? Yes, I would like some background just so I can help them understand what they're voting yes for. It doesn't need to be like super detailed, but I need to have a little bit of background so that they can understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
So, and this is to everybody, Jim, do you think you could just pull together a write-up that would say, here's what this thing is about?
Yes.
Yep.
I think
And
you have the
Yeah.
most hands-on experience.
Rebecca, how much they need more than just a little blip? Because I think in one of our very first meetings, we created a little some information. I did send it to you.
Oh,
But-
perfect. Then you know what? Let
but
me go
it's
back
like-
and look through that email, and if I'll look through it. If I need any more information than that, I'll let you know, but not really. Like, I'm pretty much just going to say, look, a grant has come available for us to opportunity to get money to access for disability access, i.e. sidewalks, ramps, elevators, and whatnot. And they're going to say, oh, well, if the town doesn't have to pay for it, yippee. So, I mean, that's pretty much what it will be. So I'll read through your email, and if I need any more information from you, I'll let you know. I don't think I
Okay.
will.
because it's a bare bones paragraph, but if you
That's
need
fine,
more,
because I mean, the chief of police just asked to apply for a cops grant, and he was literally up there for about 2 seconds. So same thing. If I just say, hey, look, this is what we're looking for. I would like to have permission to go ahead and apply for this. They'll grant
Okay.
it to me. I mean,
Okay.
it's very rare
So-
that they're like, no, don't go for free money. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, right. So the last time frame was they opened up the submissions on August 2nd, 2021 for last year through October 8th, 2021 to Jim's point. Then
Yep.
they review and they give you a final go ahead in December if you're approved. So, you submit it August to October, and then we get information by the end of December. We get the money, and then you got to go find a contractor after that. So that's something else you'll probably have to do.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can do that because Rebecca has procurement, and we would obviously have to go through procurement because you have to get, you have to send it out to bid so that you don't
Right.
get overpriced, even with grant money.
Right, right. Okay. So, yeah, there's yeah, so in that information I sent to you, at the bottom, it says planning grant application PDF version for practice purpose only.
Mm.
So it gives you actually, words to put in there so that they made it fairly easy to move forward. Okay, I feel good about that. What did everyone else think on that as a plan? 28th select board meeting. We'll try to get something to Rebecca for that meeting on the background for the grant. That's one thing we thought about. And then the other is that we want to also get on the select board's agenda for just communicating our mission, our focus, our wants, the talk about the grant that they hopefully approved, what that'll do for the town. And then I would also like to propose to talk to them about beach access, and use my presentation or a variation of that as you deem appropriate in that meeting as well, if that works.
Yeah, that works for me. And I'll just make sure that Suzanne is on that meeting as well in case she has any questions for you or ideas.
Okay, Fred, Jim, what do you think about that? So we're talking about the first initiative is for Jim to write something up, goes to Rebecca. Rebecca gets that information and goes to the board on the 28th, hopefully secure their approval. Then we develop a separate set of data, which I just went through, for the select board meeting. I guess it'll be in July. Did they meet in July and August or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so we'll have to pick a date in July. What are the available dates, Rebecca, for that?
For the select board, you mean?
Yeah,
Hang on, let me just double check. They're meeting on the 1st and the 3rd. Actually, they're meeting July 12th because they didn't want to meet July 5th.
okay. Do you
It's
think?
a
That works.
Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm around.
Okay, everybody else
fine.
okay
That's
around
fine.
and, okay, so that's good. So we have, for the elements of, and Fred, I didn't hear from you. Is it July 12th okay? Fred?
Sorry. Oh, I'm not 100% sure because I travel back and forth between Boston and Wellfleet pretty routinely. In fact, I'm in Boston now, and I'm going to go to Wellfleet tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, you're like me.
Yeah,
Back and forth.
vagabond.
Got it. Yeah,
Not a
got it.
vagabond.
Yeah. Well, you can still join remotely.
Right.
I think there's a remote anyway, right, Rebecca?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
And we're
So
pretty sure
let's-
the state's gonna extend the remote policy. Probably like with specifications, but I'm pretty sure that the state's gonna allow Zoom meetings to continue from now on.
Okay.
Okay,
So, we've got the three components that the group has to review is the presentation now that's not really going to be focusing on that grant application because we're going to do that separately. It's going to be our mission, and our focus and our needs, and then also, the Moby Mats or whatever presentation. Kate, it seemed like you had some good ideas about the mission and the focus and the wants. You want to take a stab at that one?
sure, happy to.
So why don't you do that?
Okay,
And I can add my presentation to the end. And then Fred, you can add, whatever input you have on any of that, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll be ready for the July 12th. And when does that have to go to the select board, Rebecca, for review?
So
the
if you
meeting's the
have,
12th?
if you're gonna be on the July 12th meeting, I would need all of your information for the packet, July 7th.
Okay, and that's, the 4th is what? Is that a Monday this year?
It is, yep,
So,
I think the 4th is a
okay.
Monday.
yeah.
That's
Okay,
right.
so the day is the 3rd. Do you want to shoot for 3 weeks from today, the 24th, to have our draft together for review? Does
Sure,
that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
Fine.
And then we'll be ready to send that product to Rebecca by the 7th.
okay.
Okay. I think that, that's our agenda item. And is there anything else you want to talk about before we go into new business? Okay,
think I'm good.
so let's go into the new business. It's kind of like old business. And
Yeah.
Fred, why don't you tell us what you did between last meeting and this meeting, and there you didn't get a response. So Rebecca, I think we need your help on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you just Fred, give a rundown of what happened?
I sent around an email this afternoon. Kate might not have gotten it because she was working on, and my apologies, Rebecca. I wasn't thinking in terms of your cooperation on this, but anyway, and ironically, I don't have it. I don't have my own thing in front of me, but anyway, the issue is the hatches ramp and the fact that it basically is not consistent with the state guidelines with the Architectural Access Board. And the copy that I sent around was that an email that I'd sent to Jim, the building inspector, back on May 8th, outlining, what can we do? How should we proceed, and so on. And I never did get a response. And the other thing is that earlier this week, I called down to the building department a couple of times, and actually nobody ever answered the phone. So I'm kind of stymied on this one.
Yeah, I've got to jump off for just a moment. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So-
Fred, what is the problem with the slope or the angle or?
It's a little number of things. Okay. You mentioned the slope. That is a primary issue, right?
Mhm.
The other thing is that the state requirements require landing. Okay, there's no landing. Okay. And so it actually, for me, being in a wheelchair, could be pretty, I mean, the good news for me is I'm not planning on going in there to hatches, but, well, it's true.
Yeah.
Well,
But other
Well,
people in
honestly,
why should I-
wheelchairs.
I
Pardon?
went in there after I think I was at, I don't think I was at your April meeting because I was traveling to South Carolina, but the March meeting, we had talked about that and I had listened, and I actually reached out to Suzanne Thomas and asked about the Moby mats, and she said there's one Moby mat at one of the ponds and that it has a wheelchair that you can sit in and actually go into the water and use that for being in the water.
Mm.
And then, but I went into Hatches the other day and the ramp is lovely, but it isn't very wide. And then when I went into the actual store, even if you were in a wheelchair and able to use the ramp and get in there, I don't know how you would maneuver through the store. I'm not a very large person, you know, and it was tough for me. If there were more than one person in that facility, I would be squished. So the ramp is a lovely gesture, but it once, even like I said, even if you were able to get into the building, I don't know how you would order anything because there's not much room from the countertop to where people stand and place their order. You would literally have to sit outside and scream through the window to what you want. There's no way a wheelchair could get into the building.
I think when we think about access, it's not simply restricted to how a wheelchair would safely get up there, navigate the door and into the interior. It's really not safe for someone who, if they're walking with a walker, if they're visually impaired, so I think it's a broader
You're right.
issue that the ramp is not meeting ADA compliant is
No.
the bottom line.
Yep.
And I do think we have been tending to talk about wheelchair because obviously Fred's in one and he's been championing this for all people with physical access issues.
Right. Mhm.
But it's a broader issue than just a wheelchair.
You're right.
Right. I mean, it may come down to offering an alternative of some kind to people who can't enter the building otherwise to order. So, I mean, a takeout window or some other provision that would be modest or very low cost, but an adaptation that would entitle people or give people the access that they should have to that facility.
Yeah.
Without having to rebuild the whole, facility. But there are things that could be done.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if this is an impossible situation in the interior as well.
Yeah, Kate brought up a good point, and that vision impaired, because one of the things that I was thinking to get beyond on this thing is putting up signage that advises people who were there that the ramp did not comply with state building codes, that kind of thing. But if a person is visually impaired, they might not be able to read that sign. That's the problem that I have, is I think in terms of physical mobility, and don't always think in terms of all the other possibilities.
Right.
Mm.
Well, all the more reason, let's put that in our pro column of why we need to submit this grant in a timely fashion and have the assessment done. Because I do think it needs someone that's their area of expertise to think of all challenges that might be faced in using our community.
I'm traveling to Wellfleet tomorrow, and through a number of circumstances, I'm going to be there for a number of weeks, like more than usual, say. So I think what I can do is just plant myself in the buildings inspector office and just basically have a one-on-one. Now, I ran into a problem in that I was having an issue with my one good leg, and I was having trouble getting into. Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm getting.
Sorry,
I'm not. Oh yeah, I think I mentioned that. And anyway, so I've been doing exercises, And so my wife is more confident that she can let me loose and operate my wheelchair, my car rather, by my loan. So I'm making some progress in that regard. So anyway, what I can do is just basically just make an appointment, plant myself in the office and say, oh, look, we're getting, I've sent you emails. Oh, here's another one for you. When I speak to the building inspector's assistant, all right, and she puts me, we say, oh, he's here. Then I wind up in his voicemail. So I don't want to take that too personally,
Right.
but oh, it's Fred out of the, you get the general picture. So anyway, I will as early as this upcoming week, but try to just basically get in front of the building inspector. His first name is Jim, and see what I can accomplish. And I basically would certainly be happy to relay through emails, to the group what
Thank
took
you.
place with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that at this point, since we're running around, it's I'm not not afraid. I'm certainly capable and willing to basically be there and to get things done in town, like physically and so on. We have in our own from our own disability aspect, we really have to work through the building inspector, because I remember being at a Truro Commission on Disabilities meeting. They didn't ultimately have a quorum, but the fellow who was there told me get to know your building inspector, mainly because we know that we're advisory, but we can kind of advise to get something done.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the in my email, I said one of the possibilities is just destroy the ramp, right? And then we go back to where you were, and probably what existed before the ramp part, because that was never part of the building permit, and just destroy the thing, and then in a way it goes away.
Maybe. So, okay, that is a possibility, but
Yeah, you'll see in my email when you get a
Okay.
chance. And
Well,
Yeah.
and Fred, how long has this situation been going on?
oh,
okay, yeah, Kate can tell you that.
yeah, Kate's face is like sour right now. A long time. When
Yeah.
the first time I met Fred and the two of us met to talk about what we hope to accomplish, she brought it up then, and that's several years ago. It's just dragging along.
Rebecca, this is a case study as to why they have to get approval for that grant. Because
Yes, it
there's
is.
got to be many other situations that in the town that are like this. And so case study, case study, case study. It's been going on for a long time. Let's get it, the professionals looking at it, and then we'll get some money, we'll get some capital for
Right.
this after the planning stuff. Right, Jim?
Right. I mean, I think, if this ramp creates a danger rather than access, then probably it's correct that it shouldn't be used. But on the other hand, to say just destroy it and that's the solution, I think we should be looking then to alternatives. I mean, what can be done to provide access in a different way? Whether it's, do you have a website and people can order and the order is brought out to them in their car, or do you have a takeout window? I mean, thinking more broadly about how access could be given without having to, completely restructure the building. the sorts of solutions, I guess, that, might come into play, particularly if you did a broad study of the town needs. And, there are various solutions and ways of meeting the requirements of the AD. So it's sort of a range of things you can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
From modifying the building itself to alternatives to
Yeah.
that, if that
Right.
makes more sense.
Yeah,
Well said. I agree.
As long as the outcome is you've increased access.
Mhm.
I thought that all buildings had to have some access.
Well, new construction, no question.
Right.
Right,
But older buildings,
right.
it then a matter of negotiating compromises that work for people. And there's a wide range of things you can do,
Yeah.
many of which aren't that costly.
So there's where you point, you say it's an older building, not new construction, it's not a public building.
Right.
So
No.
you then negotiate what you can do.
True. But, and I don't know if the town lawyer would have a view on this or what, but in terms of where it's located, it's not tucked away on a side street. It's sitting in the
Right.
middle of a town municipal parking lot.
Right. That's right. It's pretty prominent. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you guys write something up, I can submit it to town council and just see where we would stand with that and how, and like, just get their point of view on, like, you know what I'm saying? Like how
Yes.
we could go
Yeah.
about having them change things and whatnot. And our town council is pretty great. So I could definitely do that if we could write up something to kind of explain like what we're looking to do and what would need to be changed. And like you said, it's not just for wheelchair accessibility. It's for many other disabilities, and there are many of them. And
Yes.
it's, you have to have a broad spectrum of what you want and what needs to be done to ratify all sorts of disabilities.
Correct.
Yes.
Sure. Well, I'd be happy to take a stab at that write-up. I'm just outline what my understandings of the codes, and I probably could get some input from the state, with the fellow I know there, and so sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so again, that's really a good, sorry that it's taken this long, but it's actually good that we have that case study to chat with them about that. Some of these things have been taking a long time, and there's a plethora of them probably. This is just one. And then as Fred was indicating, it's just talking about, physical mobility. What about all the other
Mhm.
signage and everything else, that is also a problem. So good discussion, I think, on that. And, again, we'll have with this grant an opportunity to see everything. I think they look at everything in the town. So
Yes, they do.
then
They do.
there's a prioritization that we can talk about, with Rebecca
Right.
and the town. That would actually be great when we get to that point. Okay, Fred, you happy with that discussion?
So
Good to go?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Any other new business?
Nope. Not from Kate.
No,
Jim?
no.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this has been a good discussion. Thanks for coordinating all this, Rebecca. We have a July 12th meeting with the select board. We have some information that's being distributed among our team by the 24th. Do we need to have a meeting prior to the July 12th meeting?
Hmm. Probably,
This
we
is a
probably
question I
should.
just.
Yeah, to
this
check
is a
in.
question We should.
Yeah.
Even if it's just ratification of, I mean,
Right.
maybe
Right.
we just kick around the document that week of whatever it is, the last week of June.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea, even if it's just a loose. Okay, Jim's gonna say this, Fred might say that, Kate might say this, rather than figuring it out while we're in front of them.
Yes.
At least
Yeah.
to have a loose
Okay.
sense of who's saying what.
Mhm.
Okay. What day is good that week?
Oh. Let's see if I can multitask on the phone. Oh, I can, look at that.
Um, 12.
So that's
I'm-
the beginning of the long
Okay.
weekend, so maybe we should try Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of that week. That works
Sure.
for people.
Yep. Any of those work for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fred, what about you coming down? You have your plans for that?
Um, to be a little bit more specific on which date we might be talking about.
The 28th, 29th, or 30th
Of June.
of
Yeah,
June? Yes. Yep.
Yep. No, I knew that. I was just reiterating it.
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure because it said, I've got a number of commitments to be on the Cape, but I also have to be back up in Boston too, the latter part of the month. So, which I can, but I can see how to work it through.
Okay. Why don't we, what would be what would be if you had to select one of the days, Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, which day do you think you would most likely be available, either here or near Boston?
I think any of them would work.
Okay. Kate or Jim, any preference?
Nope.
Not really. No. I'm
Nope. The
flexible.
students are gone at that point. I can meet virtually in the
Okay.
morning from
Mhm.
work.
What
or
what graduation are you doing, Kate?
Cape Cod Tech graduates tomorrow.
Oh,
So
my
I
daughter
was,
goes to Sturgis East.
oh, nice.
My
That's
son
fun.
went to Cape Cod Tech. Actually, two of my sons went to Cape Cod Tech.
Wow, that's great. When? Who are they?
Well, my son Mark passed away in October.
Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
graduated 3 years ago. So, but he went to Cape Cod Tech. He was in culinary. And my son
Yes.
Jonathan Spar, he went to Cape Cod Tech, and he went into the Navy. So he's doing
Wow.
great. Yep, he's getting married next year. So
That's fantastic. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry about Mark.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's been a rough 8 months.
I am sure. I can only imagine. I can only
Yeah.
imagine.
Thank you.
Hard to hear. Well, why don't we say on that Wednesday then? I'll go right in the middle somewhere. And is 4 o'clock a good time,
Sure.
That'll work.
Fred? Okay, so next
Yep.
meeting is the 29th, according to my calendar at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
29th at 4.
That's fine.
Yep. And Rebecca, can you coordinate the Zoom call and stuff?
Absolutely. If you send me the agenda, I can I'll post everything and put the Zoom and send it out to you guys.
Okay, Jim, are you putting the agenda together for the next one, or are you just doing the minutes for this one?
I think just a minute.
Okay. Well, why don't I pull together the agenda? It's gonna
Yeah.
be, on that one, it's just basically, as Kate was saying, we're going to review the presentation to the select board. We're gonna talk about our roles and responsibilities. So that's all we're gonna be doing then. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think
Yep.
that's
Sounds
fair.
right. Sounds right.
And
Mhm.
we'll be celebrating the Celtics victory still.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
we
hope.
should.
Okay, I will send
All right.
that for the
Before,
28th.
perfect. I apologize for overwalk the road. It's hard when we're all virtual like this. But Jim, before we break apart, can you quickly run down? We have a lot of different homework assignments that we gave ourselves. Can you quickly just highlight who's doing what to make sure we've all got that?
Yes, the grant information, I'm going to submit to Rebecca
Mhm.
so that she is primed on that. The mission and purpose of the Disabilities Commission was Kate
Yep.
doing that.
Yep.
The Moby Mats aspect of the presentation was George.
Right.
Perfect. And Fred is writing something up
Yeah,
That's correct.
to give to Rebecca to share with
town
town
council.
council.
That's correct.
Mhm.
All right.
Sounds good.
That's
Hey, we made a
perfect.
lot of progress on this meeting today.
I think
Yep.
so too. Yeah.
Yep.
I think so. Looking good. And Rebecca, appreciate your role and your advice and commitment. That's great. to
Sure,
have
I'm
somebody
more than
on the
happy to
ground
help.
for us. Okay. Well,
All right.
anything else? Anybody else have anything before we close?
No, I think we're
I
fine.
don't think so. And then I'll reach out just before the 28th to let you know that I'm on the agenda and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
Right.
And then
All
that
right.
we can attend that meeting too, right?
Of course, it's hybrid, so you can either come in person, which is so fun, or you can do it through Zoom.
All right.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Have a good
Everybody
one.
take care.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
Take
weekend.
care, everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Later.
Bye.